Hey there, it's Jennifer from scrapsoflife.com. How are you? It is now Sunday, January 24th, and how's your week been? Did you get anything creative done? Love to hear about it. Love to see it if you want to share. Um, Anyone noticing that things have gone absolutely haywire in their life? No, just me? Um, for those who follow it but don't follow it closely, or you kind of hear about it but you don't know all the specifics, we've got a Mercury retrograde coming up. It goes retrograde on the 30th, so we're still a week away, but there are things called shadow zones that, before and after, and sometimes those can actually be worse than the retrograde itself, and other times it's just extends the period. So far, I'm a little worried about what might be coming up. Because if this past week has been any indication, with things breaking and communication errors and technology issues and just all sorts of stuff, everything from headsets to washing machines have been on the fritz this week, and yeah, it's been interesting. Also, it was another, gosh, it was such a busy week at work, and I've got one more week left of January to get all the deadlines met, and I'm gonna make it one way or the other. I'm gonna make it. Failure isn't an option, but oh boy, it has been something else. And yeah, actually, Friday was really rough. Without going into details, because this probably isn't really the time or place, all things considered. Yeah, Friday was really rough. Saturday, I felt better. Today, I don't know how I feel because Monday's right around the corner. But that remains to be seen. No, so Friday was rough, and it got me thinking, and Saturday, I remembered this, pithy little saying that we hear a lot and we see plastered on plaques and maybe on the vinyl letters on walls, or we see it on posters or screenshots, or whatever. Screensavers, I guess is what I was looking for. Lock screens these days. Bloom where you're planted. It's not a bad thing. Blooming where you're planted, it sounds like a good thing. Make the best of the situation you got, right? But if there's one thing that this past year, that 2020's gardening experiment taught me, is that that's not always possible. Sure, I mean, you can give it your best shot, but if you don't have the right surface to put down roots in, you might grow and you might bloom, but you're not going to be able to hold on when something bad happens. If you need sunlight to bloom, to grow, but too much sun can scorch you. Not enough, and you won't thrive. You need water, but too much drowns you, or too much hangs around and it doesn't evaporate right. It doesn't get used up correctly. If you can't use the tools or nutrients at your disposal, then disease can set in, rot. There's a lot of things that get in the way of blooming where you're planted. So in response to that, I suggest be your own gardener. Because it's up to the gardener to figure out where the best place to plant something is. If they've made a mistake, if they've planted something in the wrong spot, gets too much sun, too much water, not enough of either, doesn't have enough room for its roots to go, is root bound in the pot or the area that it's growing in. Sometimes a transplant is required. Sometimes you need to repot. Sometimes you need to, you need to move it to a better suited section of the garden. Sometimes disease or rot or blight or, any manner of things will set in, and you have to know how to treat it. And sometimes there is no fixing it, and so you start over again with new seeds or a new space or a new idea. So yeah, that's my that's my reflection for the week. And I just figured I'd share that just in case anybody else was kind of going through some mucky stuff right now. And if you see this, I hope it helps. I'm trying to focus on it and figure out what I need to do to make sure that I have the best chance of blooming where I'm planted or replanting myself elsewhere. Speaking of garden metaphors, that's one of the things that I've actually been working on a little bit this week. This is my seed catalog. This is actually last year's seed catalog that I'm using for research. And you can see all the sticky notes I have in here. Yeah, I'm planning this year's garden, garden experiment phase 2, if you will. Last year I started a garden with just a single garden tower, and which was lovingly gifted to me by Todd, my husband, and it was an experience. And overall it was a good one. I mean, not everything grew, or things grew, but they didn't thrive. Insects or disease got to them, and it was a learning experience. But I actually did have some successes, and so I am emboldened to expand to more containers and an expanded setup this coming year. And so, but I have to plan for it. And to me, that is definitely a creative project, because not only is it involving a certain amount of design and, yeah, I want it to be slightly aesthetic, because when we walk out to the cars every morning or get home every evening, this is what we're going to see, because it's right there in the backyard. I want it to be pretty. I want it to be functional as well as, well, not fashionable, but pleasant. The alliteration isn't there, but you know what I mean. I want it, but also in the creative aspect, it's literally creating food for us for the, throughout the year. And that is something I definitely, I want to do more of, and I want to be more effective at this year. So that was my other big, project for this month, was to plan this year's garden expansion. Of course, the ongoing project is the Christmas Baubles crochet along from Cascade, using Cascade Anthem yarn. And I actually got pretty far this week. I had really thought that I would get through the block components, the crocheting of the actual blocks, and be ready to start assembling everything after this week, during this week. There we go. That's what I was looking for. But yeah, no, that didn't happen. And there wasn't enough time. There just wasn't enough time. But I did, this is the final crochet, the tail, crocheted block. This is the Star of Wonder or Star of Night. I don't know. It's that one. This will be at the top of the design blocks. So there was only one patterned block for this. This is week 8 of 9. And then there were the 3 large squares, kind of filler sections. And then there were 24 small squares. And when I was getting down to, knitting the last few of the large blocks, I'm like, I've only got I'm on the second to last skein of the cream colored yarn, and I've got a lot of the colored yarn still. And I was really wondering, because I had not peeked ahead, what the small squares were supposed to be crocheted out of. Because if it was supposed to be ivory, I was going to be up creek. And I was even thinking, I was like, well, if they say it's going to be ivory, you know, I'm going to look at the end result pattern and see, and I might just start changing things up. But no, there was no error. No one did anything wrong because the small squares are to be knitted 4 of each in each of the 6 colors that came with the kit. The non-ivory or ecru colors or cream or whatever have you. So we're all good there. I got the first 4, and it's the same pattern as the large squares, but just 4 rounds instead of 7. So they go really quickly, which is very nice. Great for relaxing crocheting, and I'm actually hoping to do some more of these. So I got the first 4 of the denim color done, and then these are, I did the first 3 of 4 of this light blue, I think it's just called light blue, or blue shadow. No, I think it's just called light blue. But yeah, so I'm 7 out of 24 done with that part of the project. So I will definitely finish the block crocheting for this project this coming week, and then be able to move on to the assembly process, which I did. I did peek ahead to the colored small blocks. They form a border on the top and bottom. The patterned blocks are done in a kind of a pyramid or tree kind of design. And because, you know, they're ornaments, so it makes sense that they're going to be in like a tree kind of shape or triangular shape. And then there's a couple of like half block filler shapes, I think, that have to be done as part of the assembly and final bits. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I am looking forward to my first finished object of 2021. And thinking about that makes me happy. Knowing that I will have accomplished something of import to me. Oh, that's Duncan in the background. He must hear someone outside, probably at the neighbors. He's not lunging. He's not lunging at the door, so I don't think anybody's coming to the front porch. That's our kind of warning system. Bless his heart. We didn't get him almost 5 years ago thinking that he was going to be a guard dog. But he is a bit territorial, and you know, we roll with it. But yes, anything within the sound of his big old ears, he thinks is invading his territory. Thankfully, you know, even though we live on a fairly busy street, it doesn't happen too often. And he settled down, so we're all good. All right, so that is, yeah, that's my update. So yes, it's been now 3 full weeks and a little bit of January, 3 full weeks of the Return to Creativity challenge. I'm feeling pretty good about it so far. I'm still surrounded by my UFOs. I haven't put them away yet. Being out kind of helps me remember that they're there and keep in mind what I might want to work on next. I think the 2 kind of stuffed projects are going to be the next ones, because they really will take the least amount of time to finish, and I have a feeling that come the beginning of February, I'm going to want some easy wins to kind of bolster things before I tackle one of the larger projects. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you for checking in, for showing up for my check-in. I'd love to hear what you're up to. I hope you have a good week coming up. Remember, Mercury Retrograde starts on the 30th, so it might not be a bad idea to say, you know, back up your computer or your phone, your photos, you know, just and let's all of us take really, really, really deep breaths and maybe think before we react, if possible, and really give some deep thought to big decisions, if any, or, you know, if anything pops up over the next few days. I will be back next week. Don't forget to tag any pictures or posts you may make on social media with return to creativity, so that I can see what you've got going on, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.